Hey YouTube, Tyrant60 here to talk about Captain Marvel and my honest opinion of the movie. Obviously, there's a little more political weight to this one um, compared to your normal Marvel movie, so I'll just put that up front. Completely overstated, not even really a thing. Brie Larson did say something regarding Wrinkle in Time, which wasn't as fully baked as I think she intended it to be, um, and it may have come from a place of emotion, but it's really been distorted, and words have been kind of taken out of her mouth, and her intentions have been amplified, um, and it's turned into Brie Larson says. And this is when the telephone game comes into play. Brie Larson says Captain Marvel isn't for middle-aged white men. No, not even the same thing. And Brie Larson is maybe on the younger side for actors. And she shared an idea that perhaps wasn't fully baked either, of to have more of an egalitarian type of uh, press junket regarding people's countries of origin. And that's something she shouldn't have said either. But people are boycotting the film, and people are putting out false or fake reviews of the movie, and it's hurting the film in ways it shouldn't hurt the film, because realistically, an actor's um, relatively harmless political views should not affect the performance of a movie, especially when you have a studio that's worked for so long to create products these good. So that that's my nutshell on that. I know I normally aren't am not this defensive of social justice, but I just feel that it's getting annoying that how overstated it is. Movie wise, here's how I'll jump into it. I'll give you the good, the bad, and then the Marvel Studios details, or the Marvel Comics details even. So good. Uh, it was a lot better than I thought it would be, given the reviews. I liked the dynamic between Colonel Fury at the time, Agent Fury, and um, Carol Danvers, and the whole buddy cop film aspect of it was really compelling. And Nick Fury carries this movie. I'm sorry, Brie Larson, but if it weren't for Sam Jackson, this movie wouldn't be nearly as good. In fact, in terms of emotional weight, I think Fury is like, if you want to talk about character arcs, Fury is the flat arc of the movie necessary for your character arc of the movie to take place. And with all the other twists and turns in the movie, a character arc like yours cannot stand on its own. So, good on Marvel for figuring out to put Sam Jackson as really perhaps the most important character of the movie. Obviously, it's about Carol Danvers, but um, uh, the thread that ties it into to all the rest of the other 20 movies is Agent Fury. And just watch the movie to see not only Nick Fury, see, I get it mixed up, not only Sam Jackson's performance, but also the effects they did that make him look younger. He looks pretty much exactly the same as he looked in Pulp Fiction. It's honestly surreal seeing it. Other good things, the twists, as I mentioned, there are twists in the movie that definitely tie into the Marvel Comics universe. And if you know about the Kree and the Skrulls, you already know where these twists could happen. They kind of show their hand a little early by showing spoiler territory. They kind of showed their hand a little early when they showed the Kree and showing mentioning accusers. And if you watch Guardians of the Galaxy, you could connect the dots of Ronan the Accuser, who, spoiler alert, is in the movie. And so that's where you kind of get the confirmation that, oh, the Kree are the bad ones in this one. Um, that's not to say that the scrolls aren't bad either, but we can get to that later. Um, so, wow, oh man, Epiphany, and I'll get to that Epiphany later. What else is really good? I don't know the name of the other pilot who's best friends with Carol Danvers in the movie, but she was a great actress. She carried the movie a lot. And what else about the movie that was really good? The normal Marvel humor. A lot of Brie Larson's delivery kind of fell flat in that, but that's okay. She's supposed to be like the straight face in this whole silly story. Because of how serious her character is, she's not supposed to be funny, and that's okay. In fact, it's funny in the beginning of the movie, she's the funniest character because in the beginning of the movie, you're on the Kree homeworld where everyone is assimilated to be controlled by uh the what is it, great intelligence or whatever, the collective hive mind of the Kree world, and the controlling everyone's mind in the Kree. So because everyone on everyone on Haka is like that, Carol is the funniest character, so there's that. And the 90s references, they were good. Some reviews they were saying they were overstated, and I'll get to where it's overstated in a second in the bad. But for the first 90% of the movie, the 90s references were welcome. I enjoyed the 90s references. And in fact, the funniest moments of the movie were Sam Jackson quotes and 90s references. Perhaps yeah, it's a 90s reference also. Okay. The bad. Let's get to the bad. It's good leading up until the end of the movie, until the third act. The third act decided to play the 90s song by Gwen Stefani, I'm Just a Girl. Da-da-da-da. Throughout the entire end battle scene Carol is having with all of the Kree warriors she used to fight with. And lyrically, it makes sense, but it pulls everything away from the scene because it's just a 90s song that lyrically might tie into Carol Danvers' character, but that's where it feels like, and I can see where people can get this misconstrued. That's where it feels the most like, hey, I'm a woman, I'm a hero, and it's actually, I'm just a human who I'm now going to embrace my humanity. But if you're looking at it from the rose-tinted lens of someone who's angry at social justice warriors and feminists, you might be like, oh, that's saying she's a woman and reminding us by blaring it throughout this whole end fight scene. And that ruined it a bit for me because it is too loud and you can't tell what's going on, and more things that are bad about it. The cinematography is kind of bad in this. There are some cool things that look cool in this, but a lot of the movie kind of looks like a video game, like an opening, or a cinematic in like Halo. It looks like cinematics in Halo. This is what a lot of the movie looks like, and that's a little too dated for me. There wasn't enough practical in that manner. In fact, the last really bad thing is, the CG's great through the whole movie. As I mentioned, making Sam Jackson look younger, and Clark Gregg, who's Agent Coulson, make him look younger. Like that was good, but once you got to the third act and Carol Danvers has gone Super Saiyan, her hair looks stood up straight. Me as a big Dragon Ball fan, I'm like, oh, she's Super Saiyan. But then her flying through space, and there's like a couple close-ups of her. It looks like a video game. Really bad. Really, really bad. And it pulled me out of the scene. I'm like, wow, this is really cool. But it looks like crap. So it ruins it for me. So now let's get into the how it ties into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Obviously, the end credit scene. Spoiler alert if I haven't spoiled enough for you already. But she shows up in Endgame, but that's just a confirmation from what Fury pushed on the button on the pager and how it sent a signal to Carol Danvers. And that was kind of a waste of a post-credit scene. But I'll talk about Marvel Comics now. Something that carried this movie and actually kept it really interesting is the dynamic of the Kree versus the Skrull. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they're both wrong. Sorry, in the Marvel Comics universe, they're both bad. Um, they're both trying to conquer planets to pool resources and collect items and stuff like that. But in this movie, they kind of went the route, which was kind of interesting. Of they are acting like terrorists to protect themselves, as kind of like people in Syria and the Middle East from being bombed by other countries. So that was interesting. And that's an interesting take. And I'm still like, I still don't trust you, Skrulls, specifically because they took pot shots at Carol. And in the same sense, they set up an ambush to try and kill a bunch of Kree people. If, like, why would you get a planet that's not even your own bombed by the Kree just to kill some Kree soldiers? So, still don't trust the Skrulls. And yeah, I'm still kind of thinking about it. In terms of quality, I would say this is like season 1 Marvel, not obviously not Iron Man good, probably like Thor 1 good, or Captain America 1 good. I wouldn't say Iron Man 2 bad, or even Thor 2 bad. But I think if you're in this phase of Marvel movies, you got to put something a little better together. As I mentioned, the twist, Jude Law, spoiler alert, is the villain, because he represents the Kree Empire. But there's a lot of things that just didn't make sense, and I'm still kind of swimming about. So if you're still with me, thanks for being here. Like, one is, why would the Skrull guy try and kill Nick Fury even when he's disarmed? Like, he was beating the shit out of him, about to kill him, and if it wasn't for Carol Danvers, Nick Fury would be dead, because Skrull guy, I have to kill Fury. But in like a half second later, the Skrull guy's like, wait, I'm now showing up this lady's house in Louisiana. How did we get here so quickly? in Louisiana. And wait, let me tell you my sob story. And Carol Danvers, oh yeah, we're bad guys. No, wait, no, I still, and now all of a sudden the Skrulls are the good guys? And there was something lacking in the writing there. It would have been so much better, in my opinion, if at the end of the movie, the Skrulls are also bad. And, hey, JK, we took the Tesseract, bye. And then the cat somehow was the savior and, like, kills everyone. But having the Skrull kid there was, like, the only redeeming, like, thing for the Skrulls, and, like, that kind of ruined it. And I think the writers wrote themselves into a corner by adding that. And there's a better movie there. There's a much better movie there that it was that what missed the boat on. So if I were to give this a grade, I would give this a I would say B minus. And if I were to rank this in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I would put it like 5th from the bottom. Maybe 4th from the bottom or 3rd from the bottom. I put it above Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, Thor 2, and probably Thor 1. Maybe even Captain America 1. Yeah, that's right where it is. Bottom 5. Definitely not above, or definitely not close to bottom 10. It gets right into like just underneath Ant-Man and the Wasp territory. So that's it for me. Thanks